welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome back. If you are not new to my channel, welcome. If you are, I'm so excited to share this word with you guys. That being said, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. I make faith-based and lifestyle content, and I just want to encourage you guys in your walk with God. As I am currently going through this walk with God and he's opening my eyes to see certain things, I also want to share and encourage you guys as well. So if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe and join the family. We would love to have you. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today we are going to be digging deep into the book of Nehemiah, but just chapter 1. I studied this years ago. Probably it was around 2019 actually. I started studying it and I got so much from it. And remember, I even wrote like a whole sermon based off Nehemiah, obviously, that I didn't, end up speaking on. But it's very powerful, especially for those who, it's obviously for everybody, but especially for those who are in leadership positions or becoming leaders in a way, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's at church. This is for you guys, but most importantly, it is for everyone. It has a message for everyone. So there's 4 points that I got from Nehemiah chapter 1 that I want to share with you guys. So basically, Nehemiah is actually a cupbearer in the city of Susa, and his brethren from Judah came and he asked them about the exiles that returned to Jerusalem, and they basically told him that the walls are broken, the gates burned down, and Nehemiah was so sad. He was so sad to hear that, and he immediately went to God in prayer. So this brings me to the 5 points that I want to share with you guys today. The first point is, remember who you are and where you came from. And I say this to say that if Nehemiah didn't remember Jerusalem, his people, where he came from, he wouldn't have asked about it. If they were to bring it up to him, he probably wouldn't have cared, because he was the king's cupbearer. Do you know what I mean? So he could have easily got into his head and been like, oh, okay, like that's a personal problem. But he made it his problem because that was his people. He came from there. His family was buried there. And so he made that problem his. Yeah, so Nehemiah made that problem his problem as well. And when I first read that, it kind of checked my humility, because I'm like, it's easy for us to get into certain positions and then forget where we came from, forget our people, forget our lineage. And Nehemiah did not forget that. He was instantly sad, instantly moved that he went into prayer. Which brings me to my second point: take it back to God, which basically means pray. Pray to God about whatever it is that is bothering you, whatever it is that you need answers for. Take it back to God. Nehemiah took it back to God and prayed. He prayed for his people. He prayed for God to deliver his people, to help his people, and how to use him to help his people. And he also asked for forgiveness during that time, to cleanse himself, to purify himself of anything that would stop his prayer from reaching God's throne. And when he prayed, an interesting thing that Nehemiah did, he didn't just say they, they. He said we. He said, we are sinners. I know me, our household, my family's household, we are sinners. He didn't say they, they this, they that. He said we. He really took their problems. He took their sins and said, we collectively have sinned and we fall short of your glory, but God, we still need you. And this brings me to the third point, which is remind him of his promises. And I actually wrote some notes in my Bible here, but when Nehemiah prayed, and we're actually going to read it. Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 5 through 11. And I'm just going to read that for you guys, pop it up on the screen so that you guys can read it with me. And it says, I said, Yahweh, the God of heaven, the great and awe-inspiring God who keeps his gracious covenant with those who love him and keep his commands. Let your eyes be open and your ears be attentive to hear your servant's prayer, that I now pray to you day and night for your servants, the Israelites. I confess the sins we have committed against you. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have acted corruptly towards you and have not kept the commands, statutes, and ordinances you gave your servant Moses. Please remember what you commanded your servant Moses. If you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the peoples. But if you return to me and carefully observe my commands, even though your exiles were banished to the ends of the earth, I will gather them from there and bring them to the place where I chose to have my name dwell. They are your servants and your people. You redeemed them by your great power and strong hand. Please, Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to that of your servants who delight to revere your name. Give your servant success today and have compassion on him in the presence of this man. At the time, I was the king's cupbearer. So when I read that, I actually have this app that I learned about through Casey Nicole. She also creates faith-based content on YouTube as well, and it's called Encouraging Words. So I went to, just to get some more commentary on it, and this is what I got. It says, prayer is essential to leadership. If your vision is so big that only God can accomplish it, then you obviously must pray. If prayer isn't absolutely necessary to accomplish your vision, your goal is not big enough. And then I also wrote, there is no doubt the secret to great power in prayer to plead the promises of God. Our Father delights in it and often commands it before prayer becomes effective. So the only way we can remind God of his promises in the first place is to be in his word, to internalize those promises and then take it back to God. Nehemiah reminded God of his promise to save his people, to protect his people. And he reminded God of that and pleaded with God to forgive their sins and to help them even now. So a lot of the time, I know me, right? Sometimes when I pray, I can't say that I remind God of his promises. I pray to God, I ask him to forgive my sins, I ask him to cleanse me, to purify me, to show me what I need to know, just to give me a better heart and a better mind. But what I don't really do is I do not remind God of his promises to do these things that I asked him to do. And reading this, I was like, wow, that just gives me a whole different insight to prayer and to how to hear from God quickly as well. Now we move into our fourth and final point here, which is don't stop praying until you get an answer. And I know for a fact, right? Me, I like things to move swiftly. I pray and I'm like, okay, God, I'm probably going to hear from you in a week or two, but that's not how it works. God works on his own time. It took 4 months of prayer before Nehemiah actually got a response from God. And I also wrote a note here in my Bible from the commentary app that I have. And it said, Nehemiah prayed for 4 months before doing anything. That 52-day project had a 4-month foundation of prayer. So Nehemiah prayed diligently for 4 months before God answered his prayer. God did answer his prayer in his own timing, and he just orchestrated everything to work in Nehemiah's favor. And we will see that when we keep continuing to dive in. As I continue to study it and God continues to speak to me, I will come on here and share with you guys. But Nehemiah was fervent. He was dedicated. He had an open heart and an open mind to receive. So I just want to say, be encouraged. There is not a time that God is not listening. God is always listening. And our problem could be that we're impatient and we want quick answers. We want quick results. But God works in his own way, in his own timing. And it's almost always what we least expect, what we need, and what also gives him glory. And so that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you guys were encouraged as much as I was encouraged by this. And I hope you guys do take time to also study Nehemiah for yourself. To chapter 1, I'm actually reading through the whole book, so I am going to come back with chapter 2. Just little nuggets, Bible study nuggets that I get when I do read, and I am moved to come on here to share this with you guys. I love you guys so much. Please be encouraged. Please do not give up. If you are praying for something and you are waiting for a response from God, keep on waiting, keep on praying, take it back to God, remind him of his promises, and remember who you are. Remember who you are. I love you guys, and I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. I will see you guys in my next video.